Let me ask you something. When was the last time you made a smart financial move and didn't tell anyone? That question may sound simple, but the answer reveals everything. Because the truth is, most people don't just want to grow, they want to be seen growing. They want others to notice their progress, to compliment their hustle, to validate that they're doing well. But that's not how real wealth is built. Wealth isn't loud. It's not flashy. It doesn't show up on social media with filters and hashtags. It shows up slowly, quietly, and only if you have the discipline to do what others avoid every single day. Let's get even more real. The people who get rich without anyone noticing, they don't look the part, they live the part. They build consistency in the dark while others look for the spotlight. They're not waiting for motivation. They don't need to be reminded. They don't need a vision board or a pep talk to take action, because their habits are no longer a choice. They're who they are. So what does silent control actually look like? It means waking up and reviewing your goals while everyone else is still scrolling. Choosing to cook at home for the 5th night in a row, not because you're broke, but because you're disciplined. Saying no to that quick weekend getaway that looks good on Instagram but wrecks your budget. Checking your account balance weekly, not obsessively, but responsibly. Reading books on financial psychology instead of entertainment gossip. Tracking your spending with the same consistency you brush your teeth. The problem is, these things aren't glamorous. There's no applause when you make your lunch instead of ordering out. No one celebrates when you invest $200 into a boring index fund. There's no dopamine hit when you pay off your credit card and don't say a word about it. But this is where wealth is born. Not in breakthroughs, not in windfalls, but in decisions that feel invisible in the moment, but undeniable over time. And yes, it will feel slow. Some days, you'll wonder if it's even working. You'll watch people around you flex their success while you drive your same car, wear your same clothes, live in your same space. You'll be tempted to break the silence just to prove you're not behind. But that's the test. That's the separation. Because if you need to be seen, you'll keep performing. And if you keep performing, you'll keep spending. And if you keep spending, you'll keep staying stuck. The wealthy, the truly wealthy, understand something different. I'm not building for validation. I'm building for options. Options to walk away. Options to take a break. Options to choose where, when, and how you live. That's what silent control buys you. Not applause. Not envy. Freedom. You don't need to overhaul your life in 1 week. You just need to choose one thing you'll do differently and protect it with everything. Start with your mornings. Because how you start the day often determines how you spend it. Wake up 30 minutes earlier and don't reach for your phone. Write down your top 3 financial priorities for the month. Make coffee at home. Track your expenses, even if it feels small. Pay off $20 more than the minimum on your debt. And don't tell anyone. Let the silence be your edge. Let the discipline speak when you don't. This kind of control won't impress your friends. But in a few years, they'll wonder how you suddenly became so stable. How you have time. How you have peace. How you don't seem to be in a rush, or under pressure, or burnt out. And you won't have a flashy story to tell. Just the truth. I built this in the quiet. While no one was paying attention, I was paying everything forward. So let me challenge you. Today, pick one habit you'll commit to silently. No post. No announcement. No reward. Just the internal knowing that you've finally stopped performing. And started building for real. Because the truth is, you don't get rich with big gestures. You get rich by doing the right thing daily, long before it pays off. In silence. With control. Without anyone noticing. Let's clear something up right now. You don't stay broke because you don't earn enough. You stay broke because you keep adjusting your lifestyle. Every time your income goes up. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck. You get a raise and upgrade your apartment. You land a bonus and upgrade your phone. You start earning more, and suddenly treating yourself becomes a routine, not a reward. But here's the truth. If your lifestyle grows at the same pace as your income, You're not progressing. You're just performing at a higher level. The wealthy don't do that. They don't feel the need to prove anything when their income increases. They don't broadcast their wins through new clothes, new gadgets, or new cars. In fact, they often live in a way that doesn't match their income at all. And that's exactly the point. Because while others are flexing, they're compounding. To live below your means doesn't mean you're cheap. It doesn't mean you're scared to spend. It means you're deliberate. It means you value your future more than your image. It means that when people see you, they might assume you're just average. But behind the scenes, your assets are growing. Your accounts are stable. Your sleep is peaceful. And no one knows. Because you've chosen to build your wealth quietly. Let me show you how powerful this really is. Imagine you earn $5,000 per month. Most people live like they earn $5,000. Some live like they earn $6,000, thanks to credit cards and payment plans. And a few live like they earn $3,000. Guess who wins? The one who lives small and invests the rest. The one who isn't trying to impress. The one who builds breathing room. That extra $2,000 isn't just savings. It's margin. It's leverage. It's future freedom. Living below your means is one of the most powerful wealth-building strategies on earth. Not because it makes you feel superior, but because it gives you options. Options to take a break when you're burned out. Say no to toxic jobs or people. Invest in your future without stressing about today. Sleep without debt knocking on your door. And the best part? No one has to know. You don't need to explain your choices. You don't need to defend your discipline. You just move differently. But here's the hard part. It's not exciting. No one's clapping when you don't upgrade. No one's impressed by the same old car or the modest home. No one sees what you're doing. And that's exactly why it works. Because while everyone else is spending to be seen, you're investing to disappear. Not from life, from dependency, from financial anxiety, from the need to keep up. Let me give you a few ideas to help you live way below your means, without feeling like you're sacrificing joy. Drive the car you already own. The goal isn't status, it's zero payments. Buy clothes that are functional, not flashy. The goal isn't compliments, it's longevity. Stop upgrading your lifestyle because you feel behind. The goal isn't catching up, it's getting free. Let go of the need to explain your choices. The goal isn't understanding, it's alignment. You're not here to perform. You're here to build. And when you start living like this, you'll notice something powerful. You're less reactive. You're more grounded. You stop making decisions from pressure and start making them from clarity. You look around and realize you don't actually need as much as you thought. You were just conditioned to chase what looked good instead of what felt right. So ask yourself this today. What part of your spending has nothing to do with your future and everything to do with how you're perceived? If you let go of that, just that, how much space would open up in your life? How much freedom would be available? If you stopped spending to prove something, you don't need to downgrade your entire life overnight. You just need to create a margin, a gap, between what you earn and what you spend. That gap? It's where your wealth grows. It's where your freedom starts. So here's your move. Pick one area of your life this week where you'll cut back. Not because you have to, but because you're choosing to. And don't tell anyone. Let the world assume you're just getting by. While you quietly build the life no one sees coming, there's nothing wrong with earning a living. You wake up. You go to work. You collect a paycheck. You survive. That's how most people do it. And it works for a while. But here's the reality. You'll never build real wealth if all you do is earn and spend. Because earning money is not the same as multiplying it. And a paycheck, no matter how big, is not a wealth strategy. It's a starting point. Asterisk, asterisk. The people who get rich without anyone noticing, they don't necessarily earn more than you, but they treat their income differently. They don't see money as a reward. They see it as raw material, fuel, leverage. They spend less time celebrating their earnings and more time directing them into assets, into systems, into structures that grow whether they're working or not. They think like owners, even if they still work for someone else. Let's make this clear. You can earn like an employee, but you must invest like someone who's trying to escape the system. Because if you rely solely on your labor, you'll always trade time for survival. And time? Time is the one thing you can't get back. The wealthy understand that. That's why they use their active income to build passive power. Here's what that looks like. You get paid. You immediately separate your money into 3 buckets. What you need to live, what you use to grow, what you invest to eventually buy back your time. Most people only operate with bucket 1. Some dabble in bucket 2, but only the builders, the quiet, disciplined ones, live for bucket 3. So how do you become an investor starting today? You don't wait for more income. You don't wait for the perfect time. You don't wait to feel ready. You start small, but you start on purpose. $50 into an index fund every time you get paid. Reinvesting dividends instead of withdrawing them. Setting up automatic transfers to a portfolio you don't touch. Buying fractional shares of companies you believe in. Choosing assets over image again and again. It's not glamorous. It's not fast. But over time, it changes everything. Because here's what most people miss. Money doesn't grow because you hustle harder. It grows because you give it a job and get out of its way. Now, let's talk about identity. If you see yourself only as an employee, you'll act like one, even with your own money. You'll spend what you earn. You'll wait for raises. You'll think in terms of monthly budgets instead of long-term growth. But when you shift your mindset to that of an investor, you start to see every dollar as a worker, every transaction as a vote, every investment as a statement. I'm not just working for money, I'm making it work for me. That's what owners do. They don't work harder, they build smarter. And no, you don't need to own a business. You don't need a massive portfolio. You just need the discipline to treat every dollar with respect. Because every dollar has potential. But most people, they spend their potential on fast food, dopamine, and distractions. The wealthy, they stack theirs quietly, patiently, consistently. And here's something else. You don't have to talk about it. You don't need to brag about your investments. You don't need to flex your growth. In fact, the less you say, the more you keep. Let people assume you're average. Because the moment you start acting like an owner, you're no longer playing the same game. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. You're living strategy to strategy. You're not waiting for your big break. You're engineering your slow breakthrough from the inside out. So ask yourself, where is your money going? And is it working harder than you are? If not, that's your next shift. Because you can keep grinding. Or you can start redirecting your earnings into something that pays you back without you showing up every day. That's how freedom is built. From here on, earn what you must. But invest like someone who never wants to be stuck again. Not for luxury, not for status, for peace, for power, for protection. Because the money you quietly put to work today, that's the money that gives you options when the world gets loud. Let everyone else chase the appearance of success. You'll own it. Let me tell you something most people won't admit. You can have the best habits, the best strategy, and the best intentions. But if you're surrounded by the wrong environment, you'll still lose. Because success isn't just about what you do. It's about what you're around. Every single day. And most people, they're surrounded by noise, distractions, comparisons, people who value status over substance, people who treat every win like a show and every setback like shame. It's exhausting. And even worse, it's contagious. But the ones who build real wealth, they do something different. They choose silence, not isolation, not arrogance. Silence, space to think, room to decide, freedom to live without narrating every move. They understand that silence isn't emptiness, it's protection, it's clarity, it's power. Here's the problem. You can't build a new life in an environment that constantly pulls you back into the old one. If you're surrounded by people who Spend to impress. Brag instead of build. Judge your frugality. Mock your routines. Pressure you to loosen up. You're not just dealing with opinions. You're dealing with resistance. Friction. Energy leaks. And over time, those leaks become financial sabotage. Let's break this down. If every time you say no to a night out, someone makes you feel guilty, you'll eventually stop saying no. If every time you choose to invest instead of spend, someone calls you boring, you'll start wondering if they're right. And if every time you live with intention, your circle lives with impulse, you'll either shrink to fit in or you'll break through alone. You need to decide which one matters more. The truth is, your environment either holds you down or lifts you up. There is no neutral. And no, this doesn't mean cutting everyone out of your life. It means curating your inputs. It means asking, what conversations am I part of every day? What content am I consuming? What energy am I allowing in? What expectations am I absorbing silently? You can't control everything, but you can control what you repeatedly allow. And that choice, that's what separates noise from momentum. So what does silence actually look like? Saying no without needing to explain. Spending time alone to think, not to scroll. Choosing books over gossip. Listening to your inner voice instead of external applause. Building without sharing. Protecting your focus like it's sacred, because it is. The world won't understand it. They'll call it antisocial, obsessive, extreme. Let them, because while they're caught in performance cycles, you'll be caught in a strategy, one that works. Let me show you how this plays out. Imagine two people with the same income, the same intelligence, the same opportunity. One spends weekends in noisy environments, surrounded by people who laugh at discipline and celebrate distraction. The other protects their space, spends time learning, creating, investing, reflecting, moving with intention. Give them 5 years. One is still trying to look like they're winning. The other doesn't look like anything because they've already won. That's the power of environment. It shapes your standard. It sets your default. It creates the backdrop for every decision you make, consciously or not. So ask yourself, what is your current environment silently telling you to do? Spend more? Prove more? Show more? Or stay grounded, focused, and invisible while you build? Because silence doesn't just protect you, it sharpens you. And if you don't have a powerful circle yet, don't panic. Start with content, podcasts, books, this channel, anything that keeps your mind aligned with what you're creating, not with what you're trying to escape. Even digital silence counts. Even one day without scrolling can reset your energy and remind you of what matters. This isn't about cutting everything out. It's about becoming selective, intentional, protective, quietly dangerous. Because when your life gets quieter, your direction gets clearer. And when your direction is clear, you stop performing. You move with purpose. You move without noise. And the results? They'll show up on their own. You won't need to tell anyone what you're doing. They'll ask you, eventually, how you did it. And you'll smile. Because the answer won't be complicated. I surrounded myself with silence. And finally, I could hear myself think. And from that clarity, I built everything. Let's talk about something most people overlook. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. And if you don't have a system for building wealth, then your future depends on how you feel on any given day. That's dangerous, because motivation fades. Emotions fluctuate. Discipline wears thin. But systems? Systems don't care how you feel. They work quietly, efficiently, without asking for attention. That's why the wealthy automate, because they don't want their freedom to depend on willpower. Let me explain what automation really means. It means you've stopped relying on memory, stopped relying on mood, stopped relying on self-control. You've removed the daily decision and replaced it with a rule, a default, something that happens automatically, whether you feel like it or not. You don't decide to invest every month. It happens. You don't decide to move money into savings. It happens. You don't debate whether or not to stick to your plan. The plan already executed itself before your brain had time to get in the way. This is how real wealth is built, not through excitement, not through streaks of inspiration, but through boring, predictable, automated actions that repeat whether or not you're having a good week. The people who grow rich quietly, they automate as much as possible because they know every moment you leave up to chance is a moment you risk losing control. Here's what automation can look like in real life. You set up an auto transfer the same day you get paid. Before bills, before spending, before you even see the money, it moves. You choose a predetermined percentage, 10%, 15%, 25%, depending on your stage. And it goes straight to your investment account, your emergency fund, or both. You use a budgeting app that categorizes everything for you. So you're not manually tracking receipts. You're monitoring a system. You reinvest dividends automatically. You never touch the money. You just let the compounding do its quiet work. You schedule a weekly money check-in. Same time, same day. No negotiations. It's just what you do now. Sounds simple, right? That's the point. Because simplicity is sustainable. And sustainability is what most people lack. They try to change their life through willpower. But willpower is a resource. And like any resource, it runs out. Systems don't run out. Systems don't forget. Systems don't care if you're tired or uninspired. They keep going, and that's exactly why they work. Here's the irony. Most people spend hours trying to get rich, but won't spend 30 minutes setting up a system that runs for them. They want the results, but they don't want the process. They want freedom, but they keep their money manual. And manual is dangerous. Because when life gets messy, motivation disappears. But your bills won't. Your future won't. And the cost of inaction keeps rising. You'll be building systems of freedom. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just effective. Because now, you don't just manage money. You command it. You don't just set goals. You build the habits that deliver them. You don't just hustle. You scale in silence. Here's what that makes you. Calm when others panic. Focused when others scatter. Strategic when others react. Patient when others chase hype. Grounded when others compete for attention. You're no longer participating in the same game. Because you don't need the prize at the end of the maze. You already own the map. You became the version of yourself that used to feel out of reach. Not because of a miracle. Not because of luck. But because you chose discipline. And you chose it before the results came. So what now? You keep going. You double down. You become the kind of person who doesn't stop when it's working. You refine it. Strengthen it. Scale it. You stay invisible. Long enough to become undeniable. And one day, people will ask how you did it. How you grew. How you escaped the cycle. How you build a life so calm, so confident, so free. And you'll smile. Because the answer will be simple. I stopped trying to look rich. I stopped performing. I started building. And I never stopped. Let them stay loud. Let them chase applause. Let them restart every year with new promises and no systems. You're already in motion. And nothing is louder than a life that speaks for itself. Now listen. If this message resonated with you, if you feel the weight of who you used to be, and the quiet rise of who you're becoming, subscribe now. Not for me, for you. Because here, every subscriber isn't a number. It's a declaration, a silent promise that says, this time, I'm not watching from the sidelines. This time, I'm not breaking my progress to please anyone. This time, I'm building and I won't stop. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You just need to follow through. And if you're serious about that, the next video will walk you through how to start every morning with clarity and intention before the world even wakes up. Because quiet success starts before the noise. Click play on the next one and keep building silently, powerfully, on your terms.